And introduce you to Robert Davis and Jason Tuck from Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated.
Okay.
Welcome, gentlemen. As you all know, AWN is a proud partner of Fixed Ops Mastermind. And Rob is going to talk to us tonight about audits from the warranty side of things. So, Rob, the show is yours. You can take it away.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks everybody for taking the time to join us. I'm going to go fairly quick here and, uh, kind of your meeting here. I listen to this stuff every day, all day on that. So be happy to answer any questions, concerns that you guys have along the way. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Yes.
All righty.
Yes, sir.
So we're just kind of threw this together here for the cover page, realizing the inevitable, right? It's not if, it's when your store is going to get audited by the manufacturer, the metrics, the KPIs, the warranty trend reports is, kind of all topics we can talk about, skim off of some topics, but eventually it's going to happen to your stores, on that, and, be ready, So, agenda, I have these 5 bullet points. So I wanted to, kind of just open discussion. We, wanted to share this with you here is, as far as understanding, today's, let me move this out of the way so I can see that. Understanding the manufacturer's audit process and the reasoning behind it, the challenges, and the effects of the results, hot buttons for manufacturers, trends, strategies, and proactive process. So that's kind of what I have some slides put together for on these topics, but I think it's useful to, we're kind of getting to know each other right now. So do you guys have any questions on these topics? Any of the 5 topics here that we have?
I've been
I'll
through.
open. Uh, Go ahead. Who was? I can't see who that was.
This Alec. I was just saying I've been through 3 of them. So
Yeah, I think for me, Rob, the understanding of the audit processes and the reasoning behind it, because I think there's some misconceptions from what people think manufacturers
Sure.
are looking at
Sure.
compared to what they actually
Sure.
look at.
Well, if nobody had any questions, I can just kind of move forward with, each of these next slides are the 5 bullet points that I have up here. So, the challenges and the effects, of the results. The challenges is, well, did I skip too far ahead there? I think I did. Yeah, sorry. Um, So so yeah, the process and the reason, right? Why are they auditing your store, and what does the process look like? I will tell you, while AWN, we had huge growth in the last year, in the last years, but with growth, we also got more manufacturers audits, and I never had we have never had more manufacturers audits than last year on that. And again, I get some of that is growth with our company, and we're, we have more clients that we're working, with and processing their warranty. But apples and oranges, I mean, they're out there, they're coming. So the virtual and in-person audits, a lot of manufacturers. COVID hit. We can do this virtually. Send me your PDFs. I call it a desk audit. Nobody shows up at your store. You're doing this remotely. You're sending a packet of 30, 50, 100 ROs to the manufacturer, And they're doing this virtually, I mean, they're taking the time to dig into these repair orders deep, so obviously the in-person audits are still happening where you have somebody coming to your store, um, interrupting operations, for 2, 3, 5 days, on that. And, so that's the process, more frequent than ever. And that's really warranty costs. I think the message with today's dealerships and manufacturers, they need to understand, warranty costs are continuing to rise. We have, retail labor and parts rate increases. We have states that have multipliers. The labor op pays 3 hours. We're going to multiply that by another hour and a half. So that tech is getting 4.5 hours for a job he got 3 hours for a couple years ago. Labor rate's $250 an hour, where that labor rate was $180 an hour 2 years ago. So it's just the math, everything's up, 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 so, that's overall parts prices. We talked to Dave the other day. Put a nav screen in one of your cars. $5,000 part. You got 6/10 of labor. There's nothing in labor there, but that claim for whatever reason gets charged back in an audit. It's a $6,000 claim. And I mean, just the pure value of these parts that we're dealing with. Um, and it's what's the mission there? Is the mission to recoup money, or is back in the day audits, old school audits were coaching moments. Hey, you did this, you should have done it this way. Today's audits are like, hey, you did this, you should have did this way. You owe me $6,000. So an old school audits is not, that's not what they were about. There was more of a partnership, and what's the reasoning behind that? So there's a lot of moving parts to that. Um, does anybody have any questions over this slide at all? Okay.
There.
The challenges, and the effects of the results. Today's warranty is not, you know, again, 5 years ago, we fixed cars, we processed warranty, we got paid for it. Today is pictures, videos, diagnostic sessions, documents. There's a lot of manufacturers that have online diagnostic sessions that both the warranty administrators, the technicians are uploading this, or, dialing in with their diagnostic.
All right, we all know about warranty nightmares. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated. If your warranty process still involves sticky notes, tribal knowledge, and late night claims rejections, you're leaving money on the table. Automotive Warranty Network Incorporated brings clarity, compliance, and cash flow to your warranty game. They speak fluent OEM, and they've got your back. Hey, I want to encourage you to take a visit over to our partner, Target Automotive, target.com. That is great until you're drowning in it. Target turns that chaos into clarity with dashboards that actually make sense. Fixed ops leaders finally get what they need: real-time, drill-down insights without the spreadsheet migraines. It's not just business intelligence, it's Target.
Equipment, but these are all situations that an auditor is going to look at that diagnostic session and to compare that to your technician's time punch. Why did you do the diagnostic session at 10 o'clock in the morning where you didn't have your time punch until 11:30 in the morning? Got a problem with that claim right now. Auditors got a problem with that claim right now. So, hey, you have a picture of the leaking water pump, but you don't have a production date. You don't have a serial number. You don't have other qualifying things. How do they know this part is off of that car? Do you have the VIN number, the repair order in that picture? these are all scrutinized. These are all situations where they're getting charged back. And it's the whole claim. It's not just labor, it's not just the part. It's you didn't support the repair. I'm going to take parts, labor, everything from it, on that. So other documentation, battery tests, alignment, stuff like that. So um, please listen to me here. Have your stores, your technicians read the TSBs. This is where the specific information is, and it's not on page two. It's not on page one. It's not on page two. It's on page 14, 18. This is where they're saying this is what the picture needs. I need the picture to need this, this, and this. So I don't need just a picture. I need other specific information. Technicians need to read that. They might have done that TSB a month ago. That TSB could be updated by now with some updated information. So these are it's very far from just fixing the car anymore. Customer comes in with a coolant leak, you replace the part. Hey, the car's not leaking coolant anymore. Thank you, Mrs. Jones. Have a good day. Audit comes. I don't like your picture. Give me my $2,000 back. That's the reality of what we're dealing with. Again, timeline of repairs, technician time punching. They look into these diagnostic sessions. Tech plugged in here, got this code. Those days are gone where, we can kind of say what we did on the diagnostic. They know what we did when we plugged in. Is the battery in and out of the car? All these specifics, today's technology is allowing them to see this. A lot of manufacturers that still require the time punching, they're going to look for that. If you're not lined up with that diagnostic session, why? That's going to be a question. Old school, they're always going to look at 3 C's: concern, cause, and correction. Did you sign the add-on? Did you sign your stock unit? Did you do CPO and refurbish your car instead of do a warranty repair? Those are age old. Those aren't going away. Those are going to be there. And these are high frequencies. Understand, these are high frequencies still. The basics aren't being done. As well as all this manic stuff up here. So then it leads into, you guys might have had an audit 5 years ago and got $2,500 back, charged back. If you get that in today's audit, nice job, because it could be 5 figures, and very, very common it is. Hot buttons for manufacturers. Again, diagnostic sessions, scrutinized for the timeline. And, being an auditor right out of the gate, if I have a problem with the timeline of when you started the repair, when you did the initial diagnosis, why you're charging me straight time diagnosis, if I have a problem with that, with the data that I'm seeing on the manufacturer site and your technician time punch, you're probably going to lose that claim. I have to convince myself as an auditor to not take that claim away from you. Because right out of the gate, again, you did the diagnostic test at 10 o'clock. Why were you not punched on till 11:30? And you can't appeal that. You better have a really good reason for that. And I doubt it's going to work on that. We see a lot of programming going on with today's vehicles. Programmed, but it's not on the system that, we had a problem with. A customer had a problem with their radio going black. We got in there, the manufacturer has the diagnostic data on there, the auditor gets in there. Yeah, you programmed it, but it was for the Apple CarPlay and not the radio, not the system that had a problem. You program the ABS system, you had a radio issue. You had an ABS issue, you program the Apple CarPlay. So yeah, you're programming something because technicians are working the diagnostic equipment and finding something that needs an update, and that's fine. They did an update, but they didn't fix the problem. They didn't fix the problem with the vehicle. So that gets muddy, obviously. Um, Time of parts charged out. I see auditors go to the parts department and see when that part was charged out. Again, timeline here. You charged out the alternator on repair order 12345 at 9:30. Your diagnostic punch was at 10:15. How'd you know you needed an alternator 45 minutes later?
Yeah.
And those,
Or Rob, the one-time use parts and they don't
yeah,
actually have the parts in stock, but they have them bill them out anyways.
yep,
They just in and out them. And then in an audit, they're going to see that. They're going to see that
yep,
you showed zero
yep,
on that time.
yep, on your inventory.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point, Dave. So yeah, I mean, they're not just digging into the service side and techs and hey, the advisor didn't get his signature and the tech didn't punch on right. They're digging deep. They're digging deep in the repair manual. Um, again, specific information detailed in the TSBs, serial numbers, production dates. I highly suggest if you guys have a fluid leak, have the repair order or the VIN number or something incorporated in that picture of the leak. Tag that picture with the RO in there. Some manufacturers require that. The repair order has to be in the picture. But I tell you, where warranties going now, have more documentation than what they want because you're going to be ahead of the game if you do, because eventually everybody's going to catch up to it. But again, I can't stress enough, make sure that your service managers are talking with your technicians, read those TSBs in detail. Make sure you guys are scrolling down into the specific information. Your techs are probably going to get a picture of what's going on. Does it have all the other stuff it needs in it on that? Digital documentation, I call them platforms. We have our Stewies and our KVids and stuff like that. These are all not even, these are up and above the repair order documentation. These are all pictures, videos, DTCs, everything. They're looking, maybe some are asking for the new part next to the old part. It's the world we live in, and I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and uh, the manufacturer can justify that, but make sure you have a solid process. I will say we have seen some with duplicate pictures, duplicate pictures for multiple VIN numbers. Not a good look when an auditor looks at you there. And to Dave's point, single-use parts. And this is going to get worse. This isn't going to get better. The days of just replacing a wheel bearing, no. You need an axle nut. You might need some suspension components if you're taking some of that stuff off. You don't just need a wheel bearing anymore. You need additional hardware components. And those parts need to be installed on the vehicle. And that's really an integrity situation and a safety issue for your clients. So not warranty out the door, right? I mean, that's you got to fix a car right for your client. And this is on customer pay too, and this is revenue for you guys on customer pay. And granted, we can all talk about, oh, I had an audit and I was missing, $3.82 worth of hardware, and they charged back the $900 claim. And yeah, okay, that's kind of a raw deal, but big picture is your customer's car didn't get fixed right. Right. So we got to look at that and the safety piece of it. So bigger picture there, warranty wise, and obviously the repairs, you guys are held to a standard for, making sure that they're done according to the manufacturer's guidelines. And that is hard, and that's hard for your warranty administrators, us being on the warranty administrator side of things. That's very, very hard for us. That is going through the repair manual step by step by step. And That's not a warranty administrator's job. That's your technician's responsibility and your parts department responsibility. So definitely dial in on that. And the big thing is it's revenue. Hey, it's $3.82, but do that repair 1,000 times throughout the year, that's some money, So, look at it that way as well.
Quick break in the action. Let's talk parts. Yeah, that corner of the dealership most people don't look at until there's a fire. Parts Edge helps you clean up that mess. Smarter inventory, better margins, and no more guessing games. It's like giving your parts manager a crystal ball, except this one actually works. Spiffy. You can manage your mobile appointments, optimize your service routes, track inventory, and process payments. All with Spiffy, and you can learn more at spiffy.com. You ever wish you could inspect every car like a tech with X-ray vision? UVI is like an MRI for your car. UVI doesn't miss a thing. Scans the tires, the underbody, body panels, and wheels for scuffs in seconds, giving your team instant, actionable intel without slowing down the lane. That's not the future. That's UVI, and it's live in stores today.
And then trends in the industry, the frequencies. I call it mothership, directions or goals. We in North America, we're spoiled. And when we have our mothership, our, Toyota Japans, Germany, BMW, Audi, Mercedes, these are mothership decisions and directions. And if the mothership feels that North America is abusing straight time or repairs or this or that, this is where all this manic stuff comes from, where they want the photos, they want the serial numbers, they want the VIN numbers, they want all this specific information because their underlying message is they don't trust us because we're abusing warranty. And some of that may be true. But if anybody's ever investigated what warranty is done not in North America, it's a completely different bird. They're not flat rate, they're hourly. It's a very even kilt. It's a kilt process. It is very, very, we are unique in North America where we are driven to be on a commission base, make money, get those cars fixed, hit that number, get your bonuses, make the mighty dollar. Well, if you make too much mighty dollars, they're going to come and take it back. So, and that's what the mothership looks at. They understand, they see those same cars get fixed in their countries and other countries, and then they see North American numbers and they're going, wow. Okay. Now, again, completely, they're comparing apples to oranges because those techs don't need any straight time because they're paid 8 hours or 10 hours a day, whether they put a light bulb or 3 transfer cases in. It doesn't matter, right? So our people are driven differently, right? Of course, there's a broken bolt. I can get another half hour straight time here, there, right? So that's just how we're wired. But we have to be careful and manage that. Um, Poor performing or misrepresentation results. That's going to give you the gift that keeps on giving. They're going to come back and say, you know what? I'm going to come see you in 18 months. Make sure you're okay. So, and when they come back, they're not going to say hi. They're coming to get some more money if you're still screwing up. And high frequency of repairs. If you're doing a labor, everything's driven off of either a causal part or a labor operation. And these are all KPIs, these are metrics. Especially in today's AI world, they can take all this information, labor ops. How many times did ABC store use labor op XYZ123? Boom, that number is right there in their audit department. How many times did they choose this causal part? Boom. And if it's lopsided, they're going to come see you. They're going to see why. And maybe you sell more of that car. Maybe, but when we see these high frequency repairs, a lot of times we see those audits have a lot of add-on repairs that are charged back because they weren't documented. So there's a reason for the high frequency. They're upselling that because the tech favorites. I'll go to my last bullet point. Tech favorites, that's still in our industry. A technician is going to look for a front cover, water pump, pan gasket, whatever that pays 4.7 hours. I can bang that out in 2.2. Bring it all day long. I'll do it all day long. And they'll look for it, they'll find it, and that's where you have your high frequency. That is upselling. So there are some situations where stores were doing the wrong thing and should be penalized for that. Another thing in the industry is do not use your warranty extensions as a recaller campaign. I know our industry has a lot of green service advisors. They're reading the VIN inquiries. Warranty extensions are only supposed to be performed if the customer is having that concern with their vehicle. It is not do recall 123 and program their car. Recall and warranty extensions is apples and oranges again. We see a lot of stores doing this. We see a lot of stores that are abusing that situation, and you just need to make sure that the customer understands that. I get it. They get a letter. They're presenting that to your service advisor. Maybe he or she is not ready to deal with that and says, sounds good. We'll take care of it and we'll repair that for you. But make sure you make your advisors aware of that. There's certain manufacturers that are going to have some KPIs, some key performance indicators that they're going to pick these out, and that's gonna be some problems for
Yeah.
some stores.
You can find those in a lot of stores easily, Rob,
Yeah,
because usually when they're doing that, it's almost exactly the same customer concern on every
yeah,
repair order
a lot of copy
because
and
they're trying
paste.
to drive the customer to
Yeah,
that bulletin, right?
yeah.
So
A lot
Um,
of copy and
Leslie
paste
raised
there
it.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Leslie?
I have a question. What is a warranty extension? I don't work in a dealership at all, but
Oh, okay.
I don't understand what that is, if you don't
So
mind explaining it.
yeah, no worries. So when a manufacturer, has enough data that, some of our cars are warranted for 3 years or 36,000 or 450 or whatever the time frame is, and they see that these components are failing at a high frequency rate across the nation. So a manufacturer will get that data back and say, hey, this valve is failing at high frequency at 40 to 60,000 miles, and customers are having to pay for this, and that's not what they want in today's world. They don't want an angry customer. They're not going to go back and buy that car. But again, kind of legality and legislation, if they see that high frequency failure, a warranty extension can say, hey, if this car has this problem, let's say a check engine light, and it's this part that has failed, we'll extend that warranty for 10 years or 100,000 miles up above that. So, but
Right.
the car has to be experiencing that problem. So, if I'm a service advisor that doesn't understand that, I'm going to say, hey, look, there's a warranty extension. Let's have Joe put a valve on it right now. And that's not the right thing to do.
I see. Thank you. That
You're
makes
welcome.
sense.
And then to wrap it up here, some strategies, proactiveness here. Inspect what you expect. I'm heavy. I run the auditing and training department for AWN. Myself and when my trainers go in, we're heavy on the service manager RO review process. Look at what you have in tech meetings. You're telling them the three C's. You're telling them the time punches. You're telling them to have all this good documentation. Look at it. Look at it yourself. Look at 10 repair orders in the morning before you get going. And it doesn't need to be recall 123 that you program the car. You're not going to find anything there. Look at your water pumps. Look at your check engine lights. Look at your engines and transmissions that are replaced. Do take a look at those, and do you feel that your documentation is up to snuff? So, inspect what you expect. Um, Review your processes, add-on repairs, repeat repairs. Um, those are things that you want to review your processes, and that is great for an auditor to see. If you say if the auditor asks you, what is your add-on repair process? And you turn around and open your drawer and your service manager opens it up and hands them a document and said, that's what we do. That's, I don't want to call it the wow factor because auditors don't get wowed, but that shows them this is what we're supposed to do. So, on that, so, document those. Um, Proactive auditing, again, service manager looking at these. AWN also does some proactive auditing. We have tiered repair order reviews where we can review your warranty repair orders as your manufacturer's auditor, provide you reporting back for that, on that. So be proactive here. Don't learn the rules during the audit. It could be painful. It can be very painful. And most manufacturers have a warranty trend report pushed out every month, and that's cost per VIN and repeat repairs and KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators. And again, this is the world we live in, data-driven world. And these manufacturers are taking all these data and they're comparing you to the dealership down the street, the dealership across the state, and West Coast, East Coast, Central. They have all these metrics to compare everybody together. And when you're compared and you're way up here and everybody else is down here, there's going to be questions asked and audits performed, on that. So kind of know your status there with your manufacturer. Are you high in a cost? Are you high in something? So at least be aware of it. Know your shortcomings and, again, be proactive, fix them before the manufacturer exposes them, because that, again, it will be a very expensive lesson. So I'll open it up to any Q&A that anybody has to wrap it up.
Well, thank you for sharing what you did. All I know is that a lot of stuff is real simple if you're watching it. If not, the red flags are everywhere, and there you go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I have another question.
Come on,
Um,
bring it.
So as I understand it, there's a lot of turnover for service managers in the industry itself. So is the information that they need for an audit, excuse me, maintained in a particular area? So let's say a new service manager takes over. Like, where's the the line in terms of what that person is responsible for based on prior performance of the old service manager? Is there any grace in there, or how does that work? Or
Yes
is
and
that
no. I
a hit?
mean, yeah, I mean, you kind of adopt what you adopt. It is the auto business. So, I mean, the numbers are what they are. Um, but if you had, I have seen situations in a manufacturer's audit that they knew they were either missing a service manager or the service manager didn't really know the rules, and now a new guy is there during the audit. So I have seen some consideration taken there, by the auditor. To answer your first question, yeah, your manufacturer's websites, policy and procedure manual, it has got all the rules in it.
Yeah.
Really great reading, 473,000 pages of legal jargon, on that. But that is where your new service manager needs to enter the Thunderdome, if you will, there. But again, add-on repairs, 3Cs, time punching, straight time, those are the things that they really need to concentrate on getting in, to their new position.
Right. But there's no way of like dialing it back. Once it's happened, like with
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
change, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
And
and, and, and a lot of your manufacturers are, their trend reports, again, they're truly trend reports, and they may be a 3 month report. They have some reports that are 6 months, and that's hard. If you have 2 or 3 bad months of a service manager not knowing what they're doing, or you guys truly abusing warranty, or you just had those stupid repairs over and over and over again, back to back to back, you have to deal with that. And only time will allow that to go away, So that's a tough pill to swallow sometimes, for sure. But great question.
Hey,
And is there
Robert.
any training for them, like specific to audits? And is there a conversation that takes place after that so that they understand what they've done incorrectly or has been done incorrectly?
It's usually a conversation of what store you're going to work at next.
Part of it also depends on the district rep that you have, because
Sure.
the district rep can really
Yeah.
guide the whole process.
Sure.
Typically, you're going to have one where you're doing a self audit because you've gotten alerted that you have a problem. And then you're doing an audit of your own repair orders. And then you're going to write them a check for $5,000. And then if you're still on the bad boy list, then they're going to have you pull, your district rep's going to come in and tell you to pull 100 repair orders. And then your warranty administrator, and your district rep are going to go through 100 repair orders, and you're going to audit those together.
I
If you're
see.
still screwing, and he's going to take probably around 10, then he's going to really, if you really stay on it, then that's when you're getting into the high dollar amount. And that's where I walked in. And at that point, I just asked, well, how much do you want? He goes, what do you mean? I go, how much do I need to pay for you to go away? He goes, you need to eat the engine that you shouldn't have replaced. Okay. He goes, and you also need to take care of these 7 rental car bills. We're not paying those. Okay. He goes, if you do that, I can make this go away. I wrote it off, and it was gone in a week.
I'm assuming,
And
Alec, you're Honda?
I was Honda at the time. Yeah.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
no specific training, like on the dealership level or on any level, on how.
I was well trained as an advisor because I had a really good service manager that I was trained by, but I went to a different group. And so it really depends people that try to do it and they don't really stay in the position, or as a service advisor and get trained up to do it and make the jump, or they don't have a good fixed ops director within the group to train them. That's when they really need to have third party tools to really help guide their process approach and help them mitigate their issues. There are digital suite tools that are out there that can help you become much quicker learner as far as what you're trying to look for and how to mitigate things. But really, if you're a good advisor and you're trained halfway decent, you usually could step into about any store. It's really just a matter of following process and being consistent. I mean, you're always going to have to check your punch times. You always need to make sure your stories are good. You know these problems are coming because the claim can't get submitted correctly, and you're trying to fudge shit to push it through.
Mm.
And it's going to come kicking back at you because you try to horsewink it in the first place. You
Right.
know there's problems.
And, Alec, your point about the DPSMs though coming in and help. We talked about this, Stephen. I don't know if this was on We Are, if it was on FOM last week, but the DPSMs are not what they used to be.
Yeah,
right?
there's some young kids out there.
They're just
right
kids out of college hoping to move themselves up the corporate ladder. They're not, I mean, before, and I was with Honda too. So I know the DPSM knew your warranty and policy manual forward and backward. That guy could answer, or a woman could answer any question you had about warranty. And now you ask a DPSM about warranty, you're lucky if they know what a warranty is.
I tell you what, Kia has really provided much better digital tools for service managers as far as getting prior authorizations digitally with their district reps and being able to hold an account and catch issues much quicker earlier because the things don't line up. for them on their side. You may not see it on your side, but they pick it up on the backside. I know that it can be very complicated, and you definitely that's the reason why you have these kind of groups in Clubhouse and things like that. You can learn so much if you try, but most people just think, I got the chair, I'm good to go. And
Yeah.
it's just not that way. Being a service manager is 2/3 of it's coaching and training your people. 1/3 of it's is you're a CPA for an automotive business, and you better know what you're doing as far as minding the business, or else the business is going to mind you.
And
I would say if you look at, I mean, the comment about do they take into account that you're a new service manager or not, generally, they're not looking at the people. They're looking at the dealership.
Process.
They actually, you have so much turnover in dealerships everywhere that that's not really a factor. They look at it and say, well, the reason I'm coming in here isn't because you have a new service manager who doesn't know what he's doing. The reason I'm coming in here is because your trend report is way out of whack.
Yep.
Okay. Those are far more likely to be the reasons why they come in. And I was a regional manager for 2,500 dealers. I used to get 30 a week. I'd get 30 of these reports a week that I'd have to sign off on, because while the auditor does it, the regional manager has to sign off on it. And he's also the one that fades the heat from the dealer, because that's who he's screaming at. But I almost never found anything the auditors did that were directed toward a particular dealer or a particular store or a particular person. They do too many of these a year. They don't get focused on the people as much as they focus on the process. They focus on the rules. And if they've charged you back, and trust me, I've gone to bat for dealers for a lot of things. If they charge you back, they have a really good reason for charging you back. They didn't just do it by the seat of their pants. And so, in a lot of cases, there's this feeling like, oh, Ford, or they have it in for me. No, they don't. They don't even know who you are. It's just a process that they're going through on a regular basis. And I guess the terminology that they would use that dealers don't like to hear is, hey, I'm giving you permission to write checks out of my book. All right. You don't think I'm going to look at it? I mean, let's put it the other way around. If I was able to write checks out of your checkbook, would you check on it, or would you just let it fly?
Yep.
And the dollar amounts are so huge these days that as a company, you just can't afford to let it fly. But I know that there's a lot of emotion around this subject, and a lot of people get very upset. And trust me, I've had managers screaming at me on the phone plenty of times. So I understand that. At the same time, 99.9% of the time, it's a perfectly valid reason why they did what they did. And you may think in your dealership, it's a perfectly valid reason why you did what you did, except you didn't do it according to the book.
Yep.
And if you didn't, it's kind of like, did you or did you not run the stop sign? Well, I kind of coasted to almost a stop, and then I kept going. It's just,
Right.
it can get very emotional sometimes. But I've also had dealers that are very, very big come back with very little dollars. And I've had other dealers come back with huge dollars. I had one guy come back, he had a $200,000 chargeback. And I had to tell him about it because I was the regional manager. And I thought, oh man, this guy's going to blow up. And he goes, yeah, okay, thanks. You know what the first thing that crossed my mind was? Well, we found 200,000. I wonder how much he's really stealing.
Yeah.
because nobody goes fine for $200,000.
He was good with 200 grand. Yeah. He's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Hey, we stole 500. I only got caught on 2. It's great.
yeah, they always say so. The safest place to store money. Some people may say safes or like the bank. Put it in the owner's manual. How many customers actually open up the owner's manual and read it? Right. The policy manual is the exact. Well, good job, Leslie. The policy manual is the same way. It is black and white. There is no gray. This is, Stephen, you had said it. It's an open checkbook. The manufacturer is saying, hey, I'm going to pay you to fix this car for the customer, whatever it takes, so long as you follow these policies that are in place.
Yeah.
Roughly 30-40% of every service department's income is related to warranty reimbursements. Think about that in perspective over a year's time of how much they have available to review and potentially find those shortcomings. And normally it's the easy things like customer signatures and things like that. We see a lot of the policies or missing photos, things like that are happening. However, if it's not an expense or a cost of doing business with the manufacturer, it is simply follow the process. If you don't know the process, ask a company, someone like us that has, Rob and his team that are fully aware of these policies. Rob loves reading warranty and policy manuals. I'll just say it. He loves that. That's his favorite part. But rely on those resources in the industry, because our main goal is to educate. Whether you're a client of ours, we'd love for you to be a client, but we want to educate. These are the things that we're seeing right now, the things that are relevant, how we can help impact and lower your exposure. I would love to see the exposure rate of 0, but unfortunately, there's human beings in play and mistakes happen. That is part of it, but it's identifying it, being proactive, and then correcting it so it doesn't continue to happen.
Yeah, believe it or not, as a manufacturer, they'd like to see 0 as well.
100%.
Because it would be fantastic if everything was done exactly the way it's supposed to be done. Then as a company, you're paying for what you should be paying for, and where the problem lies is in manufacturing, not in the dealer. So then you go back to look at the problems that were created in manufacturing, what they're costing, et cetera, and that those numbers now represent the hit you're taking on warranty. That would be a hell of a lot easier to address than trying to address 3,000 dealers across the country, everybody doing it differently. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I can tell you, in most stores, if your processes are good, they are good in warranty, they are good in sales, they are good everywhere. If they are bad, they are generally bad everywhere. Okay. And that isn't your first screw up. That isn't the first time, it gets emotional at the time. But the reality is, if you do look at the numbers and you look at the history, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where to look. So, and auditors, quite honestly, they have a management that is giving them a list of dealers based on trend reports. Those guys don't even know who the dealers are, except they know the number. And they go, yep, I need you to go look at these guys. And they get a list, and they just work their way through the list. So, I think in a lot of times everybody thinks it's personal and emotional and stuff. But, I guess the analogy that I would use is, if you're a homicide detective, how many times a day do you see a dead body? Okay. How many times a day have any of you seen a dead body? So when it happens to you, it freaks you out. Yeah. But you don't see 2 a day, Alec.
No.
2 ever.
Twice.
Okay. That's why the homicide cop is standing there eating a sandwich where there's 3 corpses in the corner. Okay. And auditors get that way sometimes too about it, in the sense that I do it every day. I see it all the time. This is like the 4th one this day. And you're telling me for you, it's different. It's not different. I've seen it too many times to know that it's not different. And so even as a regional manager, I've gone to bat for guys on stuff, and I've gotten some exceptions, but mostly that's out of the goodness of the guy's heart. He goes, all right, fine. If it's important, fine. He lets it slide, but mostly they don't. They stick to their guns. They look at it very dispassionately in a lot of ways, which is sometimes hard to swallow when you're very emotional about it. But anyways, an interesting topic. So thank you. I appreciate the insight.
Absolutely.
Everyone, what is Leslie? Good night, Russell.
What?
Good night, all. I don't know. Leslie said good night to Russell.
Good night, Leslie.
And always good to see everybody.
Can't hear you.
Stay warm, Russell.
Oh. Right on. Peace and blessings. Oh, hold on. Nobody
for
told you they loved you and appreciated you, and I just did.
Thank you, Russell. So Robert, thank you so much. Jason,
Yes,
thank
Robert,
you.
thank you.
Thank you, AWN Incorporated, for bringing this to us today. If everybody looked on that slide there, if you have dealers that want to bring over a warranty trend report and a couple of repair orders, Rob will be happy to tell them how much the OEM is going to charge them back sometime during
Actually,
this
that's
year.
one of the best things you can do is get some of these guys to help you out before it
Oh, yeah.
costs you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever you'd be paying them is peanuts compared to what you're going to be paying the OEM. Trust me on
That's
this. You
yeah.
are a much happier camper if they
Yeah.
come in and tell you, hey, this is screwed up, and you could potentially get charged back 40 grand, than you
Mhm.
are looking at the guy who's going to go, that'll be 40 grand, please.
and they now have their eyes on you, right? So now they're watching you even more closely for next time.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we do have I'll give a quick screenshot here as well. Another window.
While you're opening that, Rob, Dave, we'll get you over the slideshow. That way you can share it out with the participants.
Perfect.
If they need it, they can have
Excellent.
it. And they can
Awesome.
always reach out to us as well. So if they have a question, they can always call us.
Awesome.
So we do have a tiered program for proactive auditing. It depends on the repair order count. I do suggest, kind of the higher tier 2 or tier 3, if we have not looked at the store, which I'm going to assume we have not looked at any of these stores. This I get all the manufacturer's audits for, our 1,500 plus clients that we process for. Myself and my team knows what the manufacturers are charging back. We can do these mock audits for you guys. Exactly as the gentleman said, that your ROI it's there. If we can show you a couple processes that are broken, that's going to save you in an audit in the real deal situation. So, guys are interested in that, just let us know. We can send out some information and be happy to partner with you.
Leslie, when you asked the question before, if you look at those numbers, that's your training cost. That's the cost of training, so you don't get screwed. It's that simple. And on a relative basis, for training, that ain't bad.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You
That's a well worth it training right there.
Yeah, and we do also have, we do, again, we have the training facet. I do have, some virtual trainings. We go over the stuff I talked about, 3Cs, punch times. We're manufacturer specific to it. We do have in-store training that gets a little more, obviously, hands-on with your store. There are travel expenses. We're probably flying to you, staying for a couple nights. I would suggest, if we're going to do the in-house training, at least 2 days, just to make sure you get the full impact of the training. 2 to 3 days is really the most common that we do there. If we go over 3 days, I think we lose our audience. They're done listening to us after 3 days on that. So, but we do have some, virtual that we created during COVID and everything, just to get in front of it. And this is good for the information to get in front of your people. Again, the big thing that we're dealing with in today's service is turnover. And a lot of the people just don't know what they don't know, and nobody's taking the time to show them.
Exactly.
So,
So do you market strictly to each individual dealer?
yes. Mm-hmm.
So you have not marketed, and this may be crazy talk, and if it is, then if you don't mind explaining to me, that would be great. So, wouldn't the GM and Hyundai and all the manufacturers want you to train their dealerships, or no?
We have had some experience with some manufacturers. It is a tough egg to crack to get in the front door there, if you will. On that, we're more than welcome, to do that with any of our manufacturers. We have discussed that with some of our manufacturers. You know, we process for all of them on that. Some of them have their own, you know, their own manufacturers training, which it is what it is, you know, on that. But you know, yeah, I guess best answer there, Leslie, is it's just tough to get in the front door there for sure.
I'm sure any kind of training, it's hard to sell.
But you know, back in the day, honestly, you know, we did our virtual training program that started off, and we were actually doing, we were part of the service advisor certification process for Hyundai on that. So we did some virtual, you know, training for them to take a piece of their certification to get certified for Hyundai service advisor position. So we have had some experience there with manufacturers. We've done some pilot programs for Mazda on that, and you know we have run into manufacturer reps while we're there at a dealership already training, and obviously they love what we do. Like, oh, all right, let me take your card. So we have some connections there, but broad, you know, relationship. I again, it's a tough egg to crack there. So
I understand. Yeah. I can imagine.
Selling anything to an OEM is tough.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're too small and they're too big.
Yeah.
And those pipelines don't fit together. Although in many cases they'd be better off if they did. They
Yeah.
just don't.
Right.
And a lot of it is they're not trying to be mean or anything. They just don't know who you are.
right.
And they've got so many things coming at them because everybody's trying to sell them something. It's the same with a dealer. You know, you wonder why they start out with, well, the answer is no. What was the question? You know,
Yeah,
Because-
exactly.
that's what they do. I mean, and if I were in their shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. So it's
Mhm.
very, very tough. But a lot of times, if manufacturers will do that, it's to everybody's benefit. It's to the dealer's benefit and it's to their benefit because they end up paying less up front. So they don't have to spend all this time going to charge it back.
Yep. Absolutely.
Makes
All right.
sense.
Again, Robert, Jason, and AWN Inc., thank you so
Thank you,
much.
gentlemen.
And Mr. Kyle Morissette, I believe, is in the car coming back from a trip. But Kyle's going to, as usual, close us out tonight.
Drive
And everybody,
carefully.
this is the last farm before NADA. So I'll see everybody at We Are, but everybody else I'll see at NADA.
That's
Kyle, all
right.
yours, buddy.
On an airplane is where I am. Long day of travel again. But thank you guys for a great show. I've got text messages when we landed about how great the show was tonight. Russell, I love you.
I love you too, brother. I love you, man.
And Melissa is hosting We Are on Thursday at 2:00 on the East Coast. And you should be there. It's an open discussion, so you guys will have a lot of fun with that. Other than that, no FOM, but we do have the podcast on Monday, and that'll be airing at 11 o'clock. So please take a look at that. Other than that, let's get together so we can be great together. Have a great night.
Right on. Good night, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Rob and Jason.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Take care,
All right,
guys.
thank you.
Bye-bye.